Are we going live here or what? Why can't I see it? Come on. Yes. We're gonna do it. It's gonna happen. Thank goodness. I don't even have pencil sharpen today. But the excitement of going live in just 3 or 4 minutes. We'll add one, just for this benefit of the doubt. I need the time. And I hope people join me today. This will be the last one when I can talk the whole time. And if you look here, Saturday, I'm gonna have a little sale. I'm sure I'll talk about these things. More importantly, I probably should sharpen some pencils up quick. Without those, I won't have the tools that I need to get this job done today. I was going to do a different type of drawing today, but because there's enough parameters that are new, be drawing from a 3D object to kind of replicate what it's like to draw or paint from life. Before we get started, we'll talk about that, how to set things up maybe in your own home. Talk a little bit about the light. Let's get our little Pure Noir Conte 1710B. My favorite wooded pencil to draw with. Actually, I should refrain that. I love pencil as well. It just doesn't show up great on camera. It also, when you draw darkly with graphite, all you get is like a shiny reflection, really. So these are nice because they erase well. They show up great on the camera and give you really good dark blacks. So we might get a couple of these going. Maybe one of these charcoals as well. I'll do one more Conte. Sharpen first with the blade, and then we will get to the sandpaper. I'm not sure if you can hear the stuff outside the window. I gotta have the windows open right now. I did a little bad thing in my studio. I'm probably taking a year off my life, but I spray painted in here quickly. A friend needed boots for a shoot. So I rapidly spray painted them in the studio instead of going outside because of the going up and down the stairs and all that thing. I just didn't have the time. So I had to escape the studio because I was getting a pretty bad migraine from the VOCs. It had to be done. These are the sacrifices we make as artists for our vision. I'm drinking lots of water now to cut this headache down. But that's why I have the windows open, just to get the last little bit of the poisons out of my space. I'm sure they're already deep in my lungs. So those poor graffiti artists, I'm using the Molotov paint. And it's the propellant that's bad, I think, more so than the paint. I also ruined another pair of pants today, spray painting, because I knelt down in what I was doing. So those are green grass stain on black pants. Okay, I'm freezing time here. I need more than 30 seconds to get my tools ready. But what I'm going to do today is different. Next week, the Atelier opens in an extremely limited capacity, but opening nonetheless, which means unless something happens, and of course it probably will, we will be drawing from live models here again. I will probably still live stream if I have the space. This setup takes a lot of room, which you'll see when I back up the camera to look at our 3D subject matter today. It takes up a lot of space, and space is something I want to have a lot of space between people so we can continue to function. I don't have to be open at all. Bunny is a good saver. I save for rainy days or pandemics, and I don't have to open at all. I've got plenty of commission work. But why wouldn't I share this large, beautiful studio with all of you and continue to bring in models? So we'll call it the pilot project. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I don't lose too much money. It'd be nice if I broke even nicer if I made $1. I will pay the models the same, but you have to sign up online because I need to make sure no extra people come into this space. We have to keep it not dropping, just for the time being. Okay, sharpen that bad boy up. We'll sharpen one more. And then I will tilt the camera and get us going on our subject matter. So, most of the time we've been working from photo, which is arguably far, far easier. Since you might want to draw along, there will be a chance when I'm aiming the camera at the model that you can take a screenshot. So you can still work from camera. I'll work from lighting it, but I will give you that chance to grab that moment in time from the camera, because I won't have time to take the camera, stop what I'm doing, and upload it. Always be sure to wipe off the excess material when you're sharpening. I got a bunch of other things I might draw with. We're just gonna play it by ear as usual, see what happens. Hopefully, I won't break as many pencils this week. Last week was very sad with how many I lost. But that's due to bad wood mostly. We'll leave this off to the side. I'm gonna have lots of things to talk about today, which is cool as well. This is like the busiest time of year for me. So I've set up in the studio space a hard light and a sculpture. Let's just zoom in a little bit. And I put a black backdrop behind to help make sense of things. Now, I don't even know where the shadow's coming from. The light is going to change in the room quite a bit. It's overcast here in Calgary tonight, and as time has gone and summer unfortunately is nearly over, it will get dark towards the end of the session, which actually it's preferable, but I have these beautiful north lights and the lights are on in the studio. I want to see what I'm doing. For the purpose of demonstration, I'm going to turn the overhead lights off. And we'll talk a little bit about the quality of light. So this ripped sculpture, I think this one came from Italy. No man is this muscular, I should hope. It's like an écorché, like almost like the skin has been removed. I mean, dream serratus here. So coming through my windows, or anytime you have neon bulbs or the larger bulb size, or if you have a diffusion over, I've got something over there I can show. If you have a hard light and you want to soften it, you just need to put something bigger in front of it. Even white paper, white nylons, that will soften the light. Now, softer light is harder to tell the definition. For the purpose of learning to be a better drawer and understanding the difference between core shadows and cast. Hey, I don't have a photo, Robin. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Sorry, I can't see the computer at the same time. I'm going to have a moment in time where you guys can take a screenshot. I can't take a photo because the camera that would take the photo is broadcasting the video to you guys live stream right now. So sorry for that segue. I can't answer at the same time, but I'll try to get everything covered, and I'll probably forget what I'm talking about anyways. So some shapes are soft, like softer and larger areas. Some are harder, like bony areas. So the quality of light has a lot of play on that. North-facing lights, like I have in the studio, are wonderful for picking out color, being regular through the day, and casting no shadows. The LED overhead lights are also soft lights. Another way to make soft light in your studio to work on is to actually aim your lights at the ceiling. Presumably your ceiling is white. That will make a nice, soft, even light without shadows on your work, which will be easier to draw from, or to draw on. However, the thing that we're drawing from, I think, especially when you're starting out, should have hard light. So a hard light source is something, a very, very small area of light. This is a tungsten light, but you could use a table light or whatnot. LEDs, not as much, but you probably have something in your home. Now, the hardest light source would be the sun. That's kind of what we're emulating. So this is a warm light. I'm just going to turn my computer so that I can see what you see, because I have no idea what's going on over here right now. Smartly, I turned the mic around because it was facing the other side of the room. So with the harder light and no lights on, we get a more distinctive, harder shadow. This is more desirable, I think, for classical type drawing because it helps us delineate the shapes more clearly so that we can describe less subtle things. Now it's fine to be ambiguous and it's fine to do soft things, but in terms of learning the things that we're going to talk about today, we definitely want to kind of go with the classical way. I have no idea what I'm going to draw yet, but the hard light throws, so the throw is the direction of the light, and I have the light currently at 45 degrees up and 45 degrees out. And that's a regular key light in the motion picture industry, which I worked in lighting and film years before, so I'm going to use those terminology for us drawing. I'm going to take this off because I don't want to have Daniel Craig ears. Can't forget that when I leave, but we want to control the throw. So high noon would be the light straight up ahead. Now, the straight above light is quite nice for figure drawing because you get the fall of the light from the head down to the knees, and then the shins and stuff tend to be in shadow. But for the purpose of a small object, we're going to go with this type of setup. You can start adding in reflected light. Let's see if I have something of bright enough color. I didn't mean for this exactly to be this lesson, so I'm not really prepared for that. But since you guys on video can see color, I have this red object, and it will bounce red from the light up into. One of the biggest problems I see people do when drawing, hey, it looks a little drunk in this camera view. I'm going to zoom out slightly. Am I out? Wait. Okay. So we're not there yet. But people make the darks, even though they're called reflected light, it's a terrible way of naming things for artists to separate them out, but they tend to make this too bright. So just remember you're going to keep that shaded in the dark, and sometimes it helps to see a color so that you know that you're dealing with not light, but reflected light. And having a color there helps us see for drawing. The other thing is, in terms of going a little further, I'm not 100% sure if you can see this on camera, but this is a warm light. It looks yellowish, and therefore all the shadows look bluish. So in drawing, we can understand what we're looking at sometimes by its color temperature. Whether it's warm, it's light, cool, it's shadow. However, if you're in soft light or a different type of lighting situation or day, you might have cool lights and warm shadows, but just something to train your eye to see. So I'm going to sit in the chair for a minute. I'm going to turn and align this to see what I like. So I'm going to zoom you guys all the way out. Then I'll bring the camera back in, and that's when you can take a picture of the screenshot for yourself if you're working on computer or iPad, and then you have one view to work in. My whole purpose is transitioning from flat into 3D so that I can train my eye for the distance. It's the point of life drawing, I think, and much more difficult than what we've been doing for most of the year. But because next week we're going to have Marla Singer in here modeling for us, better get my practice in before it's too late. Because if I am live streaming for you guys, you'll also notice that I'm not going to be talking like I do now. It won't be educational. You'll be able to just watch. I'll probably listen to Audible or something. The reason being is up to 8 people can be in my large room, and I have invited people to come draw with me. Properly social distance, of course, but why have a model if you can't share it with your friends? So, drawing from life, the question now, maybe you have a white sculpture in your place, or maybe you don't, and you don't want to draw from it now, but you can paint anything with white paint, including practicing a wine bottle or something. But for today, we'll set this guy up so you can see the same view as me. Maybe we'll talk about some of the muscles, some of these hard-edged lines, as part of the process to help formulate those things. And then, if you want to come join us at Atelier Artista, well, then you'll know what to do when we are in the room together. I'm sweating under this light. It's not just a hard light, it's a hot light. Okay, so let me zoom out and let you be part of this process. Is that the right way? Okay, it is. You can see my microphone here. But can you hear? Okay, so gonna do my best to not get my hat in the way a lot. It's easier with the black background for us. So let us see, what we can draw here. So I'm just gonna bring everything up closer. Do a little zooming in. You guys will not be able to see the exact same view as me. The camera has to be over my head, but you know what? I am thinking that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to go from. I think it looks pretty good. You've got a little bit of light catching here. Maybe I'll twist it a little more just to make it more difficult. There. See a little S curve there? Cast shadow, core shadow, we'll be talking about those things. And we'll go from there. My view is a little bit lower. I'm going to zoom in, and then I want you to take a screenshot. Whoop. Can't even go the right way here. I'm not sure what the exposure looks like on yours. I can't really control it in my current setup. It just balances around the room. It's a live feed through the camera. So, I can try something here. That doesn't do a thing. That doesn't do anything. Does it? Okay. That's what we're going to draw. If you're a Mac user, Command-Shift-3 will take your picture. You hear that? That's me taking it. Command-Shift-3 for Macintosh. Maybe there's another way for you to do it. I'm not really sure. But we're going with 3D today, a 3D object. Okay, so I'm going to set myself up and change the camera view. Now that you see what we're going to draw, and I've wasted 18 minutes of your time, my apologies beforehand. Oh, it looks like I have a partner in crime helping me out. Guys, it looks good. Best photographer and a professional I know has told me so, and so they've screenshotted, and so shall you. Let's get the camera set up for the drawing view. I will have the lights back on so that you can see what I'm doing, which does make it a little bit harder for me to draw and for you to study. Echo, echo, echo. Okay, so I'll just arch the camera. Hopefully that wasn't too painful for everyone. I don't want to make anyone sick while they watch. There might be a way that I can kind of, I'd love to get both in, but I fear the setup that I have is not adequate. I will need an assistant one day. When we get back into class time, almost doesn't even seem bright enough anymore. Wait a second. We're back to manual settings here. Okay, now, today, I am drawing with my regular tools, and I said last week, or the week before last, because I couldn't do it last week, too many things going on. We have at least 20 sheets of newsprint underneath, and the reason why is you want some cushion, if possible, under your drawing. For this type of drawing that I'm doing, it works really well. Otherwise, you pick up the textures. I like to always feel the paper. We're friends. I may have to alter this again because I don't want to see my head, and I do need to sit straight. I'm going to see my back therapist tomorrow, but I don't want to be hunched. Something since I'm older, I don't want to be walking around with a hunchback in the future. So I've set up though that when I look, I can see the bottom of the sculpture. So when in the resting position, I can't so much. So I would have to sit up straighter. And in doing so, you see my head a little more. Let's see if we can adjust. That's okay. Might look a little distorted, but unless I wear a GoPro on my head, maybe. Zoom out a little more. Okay, that's going to be what it is for now, folks, because I want to get started. Today, I was very fortunate to be part of a couple of projects, the wavelength project here at C-Space. What was really cool is I got to use a new technique that I've kind of been experimenting with, and now I'm really motivated to keep doing it. And that is I drew on glass from the backside. I time-lapsed a little bit of it that I'll be able to share with you guys in due time. But while doing that, the question was asked of me, like, do you draw just because, or do you still really enjoy it? And I am burnt right out already. The classes start in Monday, and I answer like 50 emails and some really dumb questions as well. But I had to make a lot of phone calls today because students want to know what to take and whatnot. It's always last minute in Calgary. In fact, hey Jeff, and a lot of my classes don't have enough people in them, and we got a week to go. But it seems to me that this happens every semester. We have minimums, and that's all we need to get, but we're not quite there yet. So if you haven't signed up for a class yet, please hurry, because I might have to cancel them. Normally I would have canceled a bunch already, but I might postpone a few another week so that you can get your spot. So the question was asked whether I do it for love, and I realized after drawing on that glass that I do it for love. And even though there's things I should be doing right now, like meditation, I am going to draw for you, because honestly, it brings me clarity and calm, and I enjoy it a lot. Similar to the classical method that I showed 2 weeks ago, I'm just going to start with drawing a basic t-shirt. Actually, since it's a torso, I'm essentially drawing a t-shirt here. A notational space envelope here of where I want this to fit. I hope that's dark enough on the page. I'm squinting my eyes as well, and I'm gonna, in this case, find the moving center line, which is kind of like a gesture line. I haven't measured anything yet. I'm not so worried about that. I'm looking for the longest lines and kind of like carving it out. And it really doesn't take much. I'm going to start drawing a little structure now. So there is a plane on this neck. And I don't have to have all the details or even the size correct yet. Squinting the eyes. So those should line up. That shadow follows along the sculpture's sternocleidomastoid, goes down the manubrium, sternum, center of the chest, right? So right about here, where that ends. The chest goes across and up. Okay. The pec muscle here. So maybe this goes down a little bit more. So I'm just getting a little bit more detail. Just so I have a few more indications of where things are going to go structurally. There is the thoracic arch. And I'm not worried about angles a little bit, but I'm not worried about getting the proportions right. I'll be able to carve into those later. There's a whole bunch of in and out areas here, but this is good enough for what we're doing. We're really going for the study of light and shadow in this one. If you're copying along, I don't know if you can go back on this to freeze frame our subject matter. From here to here, there's a line. Obviously, this is a little bit more instructive as well, and part of the reason is all these calls that I'm answering. It seems like everyone had all this time off, and few people used it for what they think they should. They feel guilty that they're not going to be any good either. Guys, I understand the feelings of fear, but we're going to have to get over them and come back in here and study, I think. And by fear, I mean that you're not going to be good enough. Practice is what will make you a better artist, not fear, as it turns out. So we'll go, I'm going to put a little deltoid in, because it helps me figure out where I'm carving out that area. So right now I'm using a layout pencil. Can you hear the motorcycles? I'm using a layout pencil, which is closer to graphite than charcoal, because I'm on white paper, and if I go in right now with my darkest dark, I'll create grooves that I can't really get out of. And I don't want to have a poor looking picture. This is cartridge paper, I believe. It's a little bit more expensive than newsprint. The idea being that rather than have the yellow of the paper, I do want to have some of the white in this one. It can handle some erasing. If you can afford it, it's preferable over newsprint, but you want to make sure that paper's smooth. There we go. So we'll get some more structures here soon. First, we can be a little bit vague. Just carving things out. I like to say that drawing is more like carving than like building a clay pot. We remove the chunks. And be fine with using angles. Especially on a man's torso like this. Angles are great. Now I've started to slouch. I need to sit back up. I'm sorry if we're dripping off the screen a little bit here. It is not that easy to be your own TV station. I love that you guys are joining me for this. This is what I love doing. Not the TV part, the drawing. Very relaxing. I'm going to move this chest in a little bit. The chest kind of points up at this part of the deltoid, which is also a little long still. Today I drew a drawing and it had skeleton anatomy and I didn't use reference really, and I feel bad that I'm putting that art out there because as an instructor there's a lot of pressure to do things perfectly. That's my own issue to get over, I guess. And the perfectionism of being a Virgo doesn't help. Let's see here. I might have to change this camera one more time because I don't like seeing my own head. Let's see here. Sorry guys, I'm using up time. There's still 18 minutes in what I would call the block-in. Just blocking in the shapes. Okay, let me just dip my head forward. Okay, I can draw comfortably now. If you joined in late, the object that I'm drawing from is earlier in the video. It's a sculpture, because we're trying to get used to drawing from life again. So I need something physical in front of me. And I promise I'll be very rusty. It's been a while, for sure. Just like any skill, I promise you can learn this. I promise it. If you put the effort in, you will be able to learn to do this well. So, obliques. You know what? This might have to come up a little bit. Put that. The obliques. And our hips are here. Just map out what you can. We will shadow map as soon as we can, and I think that's where the real lessons and benefits of this are going to be. But it doesn't have to be a torso. We just happen to focus on figure here. I got this beautiful sculpture. Maybe you've got something similar you can draw from. The methodology ends up being the same. So I'm looking for a vertical alignment here. From the neck to here, it does equal my belly button. So maybe I'll just get that in there now. It is a little bit. Now through the belly button, by the way, if you watched my other videos, man, there's so many by now. I think this is the 21st one. There's actually more, but some of them got dropped because of the music in the background. YouTube didn't like that, and that's fair. Dre probably needs another vehicle, right? Gotta pay our artists. The ones that we are included, so there were a lot more videos that I had shot live stream. Okay. This length as equal distance to this length on this sculpture. Don't take everything I say as truth. In fact, test whatever I say. Use your artistic and scientific method, please. I don't have the world categorized and memorized yet, though I'm trying my best to do it. It does make teaching a little bit easier. There's a whole bunch of weird stuff that happens down here. Very boxy right now. The leg actually comes out to just below the armpit on this side. "13 more minutes. I'll keep using it to find where I am. Let me just look at the screen for a second. I do not know why this looks so orange in here today. It's because I set the camera to manual earlier and forgot to switch it back. Normally I shoot these on auto so that I don't have to think about it. Maybe at the break I'll get our white balance back. Too many things. Today we were using different lights in the theater, so It was a real rush to get set up for you guys today. But why pass up the chance to draw? It was kind of a last minute decision, to be honest. I didn't think I was going to be able to do it at all. That's why some students have not gotten their automated confirmations. I'm having problems with the system, of course, because nothing could be easier than automating things with a computer. Monday's class is full. My Tuesday painting class is, I think it's full already. I'll have to check. I'm only taking 5 people. 4 people is what it takes for me to pay my other instructors. So please sign up for their courses, because I would like to have them run. So still on some structures here. Be aware of how I hold or handle the pencil. I'm not stuck to this tripod grip. In fact, I use it rarely, maybe near the ends. I don't even know what I do anymore. It has to be pointed out to me. And something funny occurred. I did some test classes to see how I could teach painting and have everything sterilized and whatnot. It was very challenging. We're putting extreme measures in, of course. And so I have to, I'm teaching with my own paintbrushes, because I think it just makes sense for me not to touch their things. And I'm using a liner brush, and the students thought it was, my brushes were magic or something, like that my brushes were different than theirs. And so it became a lot about, well, but you're using your brushes. Well, guess what? My brushes are the same as your brushes. I buy them at the same place. There's nothing special about them. But it never occurred to me in my mind that that would ever be something people equate to why they're having difficulties. I make it look easy because I've done it for years. And I forget that sometimes, but it was pretty funny that they're like, well, it must be your brushes. And I wouldn't let them use my brushes because then they would be contaminated. But it wasn't the brushes that did the painting. And also I had to make like little piles of paint so that each student could feel. I find that with painting, you have to get the feeling of the paint right. And I really struggled with the words, how to call something like inkier or, to describe the texture and feel. So there'll be some challenges. That's also why I'm not teaching online, because you can watch me do this here. And it's a lot easier. Whew, went a little far on that one. Anyway, sometimes I get carried away because I feel like I have to talk. But guess what, guys? If I do these live streams, no more talking. There'll be too many people in the room and I would be embarrassed. Contrary to what you might think. Even though I'm in this room alone, I am an introvert. And to teach, it's a skill that I had to learn to talk. But I would prefer not to. More so, I'm worried that I'm going to say the wrong thing and it will be forever recorded. My children will be embarrassed. I'll say something stupid. Okay, so trap still winds up about there. So I'm actually kind of going around and following a contour now. I have a basic structure and I have 8 minutes of time, so I'm just going to build out a little more. And in the next section, I'll do the shadow mapping because I do want to keep them mutually exclusive of one another so that we can really talk about the light we're seeing. And you can refer to your picture. If you followed along and took it, that is. Hopefully you did. I don't know if you can back up time on these things on your end. Like it's live, but maybe can you rewind? If you didn't, you can listen and then wait till the next time. And thank you to everyone who likes, subscribes, comments, and shares. This channel has quickly grown to above 100 subscribers, and I'm amazed by that. Who would want to watch little old me draw? Maybe you're here for the crazy rants. I don't know. So I'm still with the layout pencil, because I will roll over it with the Kneadable Eraser to lighten things a little bit. We'll just see how this goes. I use the side a lot, and I'm a little bit more non-committal with that. I do want to say to the person who's texting me right now that I can't read while I'm drawing. But thanks for your text. I'm slouching, so things are looking a little bit different here for me. You guys will have a different view as well. I will stay up late tonight after this and get a hold of the people I need to about classes starting. I'll remind you guys, if you are signed up and you have a confirmation, please show up on the first day. Although I'll honor, if you think you're coming down with some symptoms, please don't come to this place. I will honor any credit. As many of you know, I am not a stickler for that stuff. I respect you and your time, and I also respect everyone keeping healthy so we can do this thing. Okay, that ended up being a little bit of a shadow map. My bad. See, I gotta keep focus on what I'm trying to do here. Okay, that's a shadow. Did it again. But structure is what I'm really after here. It just happens to be sometimes informed by light. Okay, there's, we got some 3D arm. We got 5 more minutes. I'm not going to worry about these striations here at this point in time. Maybe I will put some neck meat down though. The good tasting, I mean the good stuff. The neck meat. Adam's apple. Neck pit. If you can see a structure, you're welcome to draw it in, especially if you're trying to learn to understand it. I don't think there's a better way to learn to understand something than drawing, really. Just sitting there and studying it, studying how it appears. What does the shape look like? How does it turn in space? Plus, putting that time, like that meditative bit, into understanding something, questioning it, relating it to other things. It's not going to help you with your math test, but certainly help you understand what you're looking at. You might notice things about it with the time put in that you just wouldn't otherwise. Try not to slouch as much as I am. Let me drop this. That's actually pretty good. Yeah. Just draw structures for yourself. That way we can find out where some of these shadows are going to, without having to know the name of every muscle, although I'll probably use them. Maybe not as many as you'd like, I'm not here to impress. I'm here to divulge all my secrets. If I had any, I would share them with you, but it's actually pretty straightforward stuff here. Which is why the fact that so many of you say you like me talking, just like fighting for words sometimes, and trying not to talk about boring things. I did do a podcast on Friday, which was fun, but the guy I did it with, Mike Dargy, he's my neighbor here at City Space. He's just so good at just hanging out and asking questions. I kept forgetting that we're on live, but I did want to say, because he released it on that episode, Rebel podcast, that they are nominated for the best podcast. Not my episode in particular, but just in general, the best podcast awards, North America podcast or something. And they're up against Kevin Bacon and not funny Amy Schumer. Took my best friend and his wife to go see Amy Schumer live. One of the worst comedy shows I've ever seen. Expensive and not funny. Mind you, she did love it. And that's all that matters when you give someone a gift. The gift is for them, not for you. Minute left. Now, in the Pontamoro timing, I've noticed that at about this time, I'm fatigued. My brain cannot keep going. But we do set the timer now for 25 minutes. It seems to be having a good effect. I gotta build up my my ability here to go a little bit longer. And that's what she said. So we're going to take there's still 50 more seconds. I'm gonna drink water now. Forgot to eat lunch until like 5 o'clock today. Very busy day. I like how that looks so far. That's exactly why I'm going to take a break. If you got what you want... Wait. There's something. Now that I'm slouching. This should come out further. And now that I'm slouching, I can see more of that. But that point should stay relatively the same. So we'll call that the lay-in process. It might take you 2 25-minute sessions. Sometimes I have just a bad day and I got to rip it and go again, but it's okay. He's a little long in the torso and a little bit boxy here. Long in the torso, hey? That's a funny thing. We'll cut him down here. Make him a little bit thick. A little bit more curved this way. Okay, let's take 5. I can go see a man about a horse. And off we go. All right. Break. Take a break. Good evening. Guys, sometimes I go to the washroom just to wash my black hands. And you don't realize how much you touch your face unless the inside of your mask is covered in charcoal too. That's crazy. Anyways, that's why I always have a hanky in my back pocket. Not only this, but it comes in handy to dry these things off because they only have the air dryers here at C-Space. The air dryers don't take off the grit like I would like. Thanks for joining in, everybody. I'm gonna just take my hat off so it doesn't block the view. We're drawing a sculpture and from life, I guess. It's not moving. I'm moving enough it doesn't even matter. Got 30 seconds left. Drink some water. Pray to your gods. Actually, let me just like aim this right. So, I don't know, that looks a little bit better. Everything looks orange. I'm set to a different type of lighting. But this paper is white, I swear. We'll see if we can't rectify this later. It doesn't matter, I'm working black and white, whether or not you see color. What's nice is it looks like I actually went outside and got a tan. Uh-oh. My phone's reminding me to meditate. We can't count this as meditation, even though it feels like it. So, at this stage, we won't forget to set our timer. 25 minutes, Pontomoro timing. Pontomoro meaning tomato, because I guess that's how long it takes to make tomato sauce. But also, scientists figured out that's our best amount of time. So this is on my lap. Okay, I'm getting heck here. Let me just see if I can open up the aperture some more. It got darker in the room, I swear. What can I do? I hope that does it. I hope that makes it brighter for you guys. I'm at 1/60 and f-stop 4.5, which I believe is all that this particular lens opens up to. But it is getting darker in here as night goes on. And that thing is really brightly lit. So normally I would take just a little bit of my Kneadable Eraser. This one has been rolled through. See how it's all dirty? Try to always have some that's clean. Because it will mar up and mark your paper. You do what you want though. It's art, right? You can only break the rules when you know them, but otherwise it's naive art. But I like that stuff too, like folk art. Anyhow, get a little piece, roll it into a ball, and just kind of go over your drawing. I'm not going to overly do this because I do want you guys to see what's on the page. But our goal in this session is to not draw any more structure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go kind of from the top down or from the darkest to the lightest in order to get coverage on my form. I tend to squint my eyes when I do this. When the lights are on in the studio, it's quite bright, so I have to compensate and make up that difference with what I'm seeing. But we did turn the lights off in the introduction of this video, so you should have seen how much more dark the shadows were looking. And so that you guys can see what I'm doing, let's hope I don't drop this bad boy. There is a big complex shape in the neck that's dark. I think I'll start down here in the armpit. The neck gets to be a little bit complicated, so it might not be the best place to start the lesson because it's small and there's lots of clamoring things in here. So if we think of this as a cylinder, if you have one and you have lighting, you could put it beside your object, and that would show you how the roundness turns the form. We have a core shadow. So there's kind of a divot here, but the core shadow, and you'll see that I'm using my pencil soft. I'm gonna just follow these lines down the form. So this isn't a hard edge, right? We're gonna wanna smudge these after so that it turns into the light. So don't use the very tip of your pencil. I see people doing that, and that's fine at first when you first start drawing, but you're going to want to start refining. You can also draw towards the form and pull to soften it even more. But for now, let's just follow that line, which was, I've heard it taught as the bedbug line from Martino back in the day, but I think that that's gross. How come they got so many bedbugs? But also, it probably sounds good in Italian. Linea de Clemia or something like that. I can't quite remember. But in English, bedbug line sounds terrible. And so it's just a bad habit that even I have. Okay. So the core shadow or the form shadow is the shadow that's transitioning over. But now I'm going to use the tip here, and I'm going to draw the cast shadow, which with a hard light has a hard edge. So by using two different types of line, I get much more definition of shape. Okay, I actually might have put that a little too high up. We'll just drop this shadow down. This might not be perfect. Cast shadow, following the form, and that form is going across this way. It dips in, goes up again, turns around that next form. Whoa! Okay, this isn't as uncomplicated as I thought. Comes up. And I like to increase the roundness sometimes of these cast bits. Then it gets interrupted here by a core shadow. Now when a core shadow crosses a cast shadow, one shadow does not become deeper in value. It doesn't add to it. So they tend to be the same value. Although when I'm drawing, I make my cast shadows a little bit darker sometimes. It depends really what you're seeing. Underneath the muscle right here, we get a little form shadow, and it travels across. It doesn't quite touch this one, and down. All of this muscle here is dark, so it's like big. So you can be ambiguous here at first. You're just trying to get some values where they need to be, but I'm just following my way down the length of the object per se. This is an object because it's a sculpted object. Maybe I wouldn't say that about a person. Here is a core, but it's tighter. It's more angular because there's a fold in the skin here. And then I get more soft as I go up. Here it's almost lost. So around the belly button, there's a cast shadow from the inside. Wait, let me make sure you guys can see this. Inside the belly button is cast and harder edged. Since my structure is where I'm really focusing on getting the proportions down, just start putting stuff in. Don't worry about it being perfect. We're just going to commit due to our amount of time. It would be wonderful to be able to do this drawing for 20 hours or more, which is what you would do at the ateliers more than likely. And you would have everything measured out perfect. But we're in a long pose session, and honestly what we do here isn't even truly long pose. It's longer than everywhere else. That's why we call it that. And it does allow you to render, but really, well, for us, it's a long pose for us, whatever. In the outside art world, they might laugh at us for calling this long. So sometimes I'll actually draw what is light. So that's going to be a light bit. That's just a striation going across. So all of this is going to be dark. There is a little bit of shadow, but it's mostly a half tone up here. We can intensify that. A half tone is the darkest light, essentially. It says dumb name too. There's lots of dumb names carried over, like tone. Tone is good for music, but not great for art. It's confusing. Call it a value. So I'll just pull it towards the direction across the form. Looks better when you do that. I think the lights are going low in here all of a sudden. So hopefully you guys can see enough. You see this beautiful shadow mapping happening? That's what we're after. I'm just going to come back up here because this part where the arm is sliced off is in shadow. It's a little bit crumbly and crackly because this sculpture of mine has been through a lot. In fact, it looks like it's also 42 years old. Wah, wah. Dad jokes are free here. You have to deal with them if you're watching my channel. A little tripod grip here, a little bit. And this is all in the light. But here, from where this point comes across, is a firm core. And here, from the meeting of the deltoid, curving, I'm moving it over here. Is that correct? That's what we'll have to do because of where I put that. You know what? I'm going to be upset at myself, but here. Because when you draw the hard edges, you tend to grind into the paper a little bit harder. But all of this is catching light. There's a little bit of halftone here. But we're going to keep these things kind of far apart. Because today's practice is for different reasons. Something in 3D. Maybe I'm not as worried about having perfect shapes, but I'll have a cool drawing. We'll probably do a little bit of cheating because we'll run out of time. Okay, well let's start shading it in. And you want to practice tonal, smooth tone. You see I don't have stripes in my toning. I'm using the same pressure. I'm turning my pencil as well so I don't wear in a flat spot. There's a lot going on when we draw, isn't there? Who knows? Maybe I'll smudge this in later with let's just look. This paper's a little bit more gritty. Oh yeah, we'll smudge it. You can use your finger though. I want to get it in all the little nooks and crannies. Sometimes I really like the look of that, but for this object, I want to get it worked into the paper. When I work on a cotton paper, like arches and what have you, and I'm putting more time into a drawing, I will rub it into the paper like a stain, almost to the point where if you rubbed your hand over it, you wouldn't pick up any on yourself because it's like a tattoo. It's impregnated into the paper. Now, by doing the shadow, I can shadow map, which means this all needs tone. Knowing that my halftone is this dark or lighter, by mapping it out, by putting tone in, it helps to simplify the shape and let me know where to go. I haven't even committed to these shapes, but like I said earlier, who cares? Let's just go for it. Let's get in the practice for the purpose of what we're after here. I'm getting overhead light hitting all of this, but truly, there's one more triangle right about here. But truly, it's just all dark on this side, as if it's a cylinder, showing the roundness of the form. So just block it in, get the dark in. Maybe we run out of time, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here today. But this also allows the fact that if you put enough tone down, your reflected light won't be brighter than your halftone, because the lightest dark must be darker than the darkest light. So I'll clarify that. The toning is like toning a canvas. It sets the notes. But really what we have is light and dark value. That word comes from Leonardo da Vinci's time, maybe in a time when it was more useful. But for drawing, we have light or dark. When I tone a canvas, I tone it with burnt umber. So it is a value. I don't determine the value, I determine the tone. The other thing that's toned could be the paper. This paper has more of a yellowish tone than this paper. But in terms of the drawing, just to clarify that, the drawing part that we do are the values. That's all I want to specify with that, Mr. Dustin. I don't like the word tone at all. It confuses students. I was never really taught values at first in school, but I quickly came to learn that they are the most valuable, dad joke, valuable thing in art. Definitely. It took me, I would say, about 3 months to get good at them. Just to be fair, like, people think this stuff's going to happen overnight, but it really isn't. In fact, I think most people can't really see value at first. You have to learn the lexicon, but you also have to learn to train your eye to see these things. Because color fools you. That's why I like working with these sculptures as well. I think I will, just looking at the computer now and again, get good questions on here, and I forget to, because I'm so focused on the drawing, but I was planning on last week doing a charcoal drawing, but I was unable to do the stream last week. And so it will happen, but what's going to happen now is I won't be talking throughout these. I will have a live model in here. I have a special way of drawing with charcoal that I teach in my drawing classes. But yeah, it would be great to do like a nice long-term one. Those kind of things are what other artists sell, like on Streamline Arts and stuff. So I cannot compete with the quality you can already get with a whole video production team and 20 hours, my God. Cesar Santos has a fantastic one. I'm a little bit of a fan of Mr. Santos. I'll admit that I'm biased. He studied at Angel Academy in Florence, and he challenged, I believe, all the bark drawings. Actually, in his video, he talks about Martino. Martino sometimes teaches here in Calgary. He's in Puya right now, Portugal. He had done all his bark drawings in one night, I guess. And Martino said you have to redo them all. So I guess it's not good to rush through these things. But he says that on his Streamline video. Anyways, I shared that with Marty. Because I bought the video. The teacher does not need to buy the video. It's a really good one, though. He shows how he uses sponges and sandpaper to do charcoal drawings. Great technique. There is a little divot, and I'm not sure if this is a flaw in my sculpture because there isn't really anything on the body that does that. Some people have up here a sternum that pops out that might give you a hard angle like that. Okay. So we're moving across and down. So that bed bug line or that form core shadow, whatever you know it as or it's called for you, we're going to follow it down. In order to show reflected light right here, I'm going to put a dark beside it. Okay, so this is going across the pec muscle, but this is the overlap of the pec muscle into the tendinous region underneath of the arms. Okay, so to remind me, I just go a little bit darker now. By doing that, I can even increase my core shadow. That's how you make a reflected light. I would even make them darker, because we're going to have some area for, well, So that's lighter. You don't want to be pulling it out with eraser really. You just got to make sure that the lightest dark is darker than the darkest light. And we do that just by adding more material. This material is a little bit like a crayon, a little bit like it's not that it's greasy, but it does travel. I wouldn't want to use regular Conte because regular Conte has wax in it, and regular wax, look how easy this erases. So you get that black. I think Prismacolor might do the same thing, but dependent on your paper. Prismacolor does have a little wax in it, but not nearly as much as these Contes. All right, so this is a cast shadow, so I'm just going to tighten up its edge. So I'm drawing more with the tip. And the more you do this, obviously, the more you're going to have to sharpen later. But if you use it long ways like this, you're actually kind of sharpening on the paper all the while. Okay, that is the wrong shape, but you know what? You're going to have to go with it right now. There's this really annoying sound outside my studio. It sounds like cicadas. I wonder if you guys can hear that. They're building a building next door. But I need to breathe because I spray painted some boots for someone in here and I shouldn't have. It's a very sour smell. So it comes down. So excluding for this little area and a little bit of light hitting this area, the rest of this is all going to be toned, shaded, you know, material added. If you're painting a color, I would suggest, if it's warm light and a cool shadow, burnt umber. And if it's cool light and a warm shadow, sorry, other way around, burnt umber and raw umber. Raw umber makes such a beautiful black. It's a warm black, because the black that we have, ivory black, is awfully cool. Okay, so I'm just checking beside this belly button. I'm going to drop down a little bit. There is a cast shadow here that I need to capture. Because of the way I'm seated, I actually have to do this from memory because I can't see over this very well. So just look, memorize, go back. I can't sit any taller. Tendon right there. We call this area like the 6-pack in the like old English, or the 40, because it looks like a bottle going upside down. At least I do here. I don't know if other people do that. I think I learned that from Stan. Prokopenko. If you guys see his stuff on the old YouTube, it's excellent. Another really good teacher of anatomy and whatnot that I got to study under is Robert Liberace. And in fact, I was supposed to be learning from him in August, but couldn't get down to the States for obvious reasons. It's too bad. I like his style and how tech he is. One day, guys, we'll get him to Calgary. I talked to him about it. He's very, very busy and sought after man. But Calgarians are awesome and we deserve it. Let's gotta get a little harder eraser. Okay, so I have no commitment on the outside here yet, but I do want to keep putting my value in to flatten it. Shadows can be very, very flat. like this. Hopefully you guys can see that. So as we add more and more value on top, we'll get this fade. But we're gonna do some artistic things, some scribbly stuff, some cheats to give it more of a contemporary look probably. I'm not drawing the background black either, which I have it set up for me to look at. But it's just like so much extra work. I'll probably do a little bit of the thick outline on it to represent that, just to make it more visually pleasing. I got a lot of comments on the previous drawings that I did that, so we'll do a little bit more of that. My hand's getting a little dirty to the side and I'm worried about dragging it, but I'm going back to the, wow, there's a minute left. I'll save the neck area and I will, this part's quite easy to find the core shadow. So softening out that edge, drawing the shape, and putting my value in. There is a shadow underneath this armpit that goes along the curving of the body. So overemphasize that curve a little bit. That's the only chance you have. You have to know where to overemphasize or what direction, but it's the only chance you really have to like accentuate form. It's almost cartoony. The light, like the object falling on, so you see how it's a straight line, this shadow? But if I had a curved leg, you see how the shadow curves? Well, I would want to increase the curvature everywhere that I can to show more depth. And so it's places like that that you have that opportunity. If you draw it straight, anything straight, a straight line, vertical or horizontal, flattens your drawing out so much, which it's not a rule, but as an intended purpose, use it for what it's good for. So I'll just tilt this for you guys. I'll just give it a little brush too. I haven't smoothed anything out. I don't know if I'll have time to. It's only 7:15, so we got plenty of time. We're describing here, and we'll move up and around as we go. I can't get this camera further back here. Okay, that should be okay. Balancing on my legs here. Let's spend 5, take a break, and also look at your work. It's good to freshen your eye, step away, and then stare. It's also a good time to get a snack. Try to brighten this up a little bit. Maybe I'll just switch. I don't know what's going to happen if I switch this camera to auto right now, but that's normally what I have it on. So let's see. Come on, baby. Yes! Sorry, I was shooting something here. We're back to white paper. 5 minutes. We'll get it hot. Oh, who's that? minutes, guys. I'm gonna bring the beeper with me because I have to pee and I don't want it beeping by this microphone and pissing you off. Oh, it's cold in here now. That's odd. 19 seconds. I need to just take 10 seconds more on closing these windows. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay. Just closing windows. 25 more minutes. Please take a look at what you're drawing. I'm looking at mine while I set this timer. And close the windows. No more bike sounds, at least, or construction. It's almost night out there. Okay. So, let me just look at the time. It is 7:20. Okay, well, we're getting close to halfway, which is good. It's where we should be in terms of the time that we're taking. Back to my Pinot Noir Conte 1710B. Let's get to, now that we've got the white balance correct, so sometimes it's better just to set things on auto. I can't wait for you guys to see this thing. So I shot time lapse of the process of this wavelength project, and I drew from the backside of plexiglass. And it was so cool, but of course we had to balance to the lights because the entire studio was black, so it shoots through the glass, and then I'm behind the glass. It's almost like I'm drawing on top, like my face is behind. Pretty sweet, and I definitely would like to do it some more now that I see the potential of this type of thing. I remember growing up on Sesame Street, you would see something like that. Okay, so down the sternocleidomastoid and up its belly, because it's coming underneath, it's undercut. Then we have shadow. We have nice little folds in this neck. There's like a lip here. And then to show the curvature of this, where this Adam's apple would be, essentially. And then there's a little one below. So just think, like, what are the shapes? So cast parts, cast shadow, I do like the point, and then core, like this one coming up here, I do the firm edge, so not quite the point. So that's how you tell the viewer the language. cast, core, cast, core. I think in all drawing, there's a rhythm. Like I just said, cast, core, straight, curved, light, dark. Contrast is what makes things interesting. And I don't mean that high contrast, it's not necessary. If you were doing a still life, it might be nice to have a fuzzy teddy bear beside something clear and glass, something hard and see-through, something soft and fuzzy. That creates visual interest. And because the light is hitting the top the brightest, we'll leave this white, and some points here white, but the overall neck has a halftone on it. So we'll just put a little bit. I hope the camera can pick that up. Whereas from here, the core shadow over to the cast shadow, and the cast shadow hides behind here, comes down the inside of the trap. There's a halftone in here. Down a little further, it curves over some of the structure here. Oh boy. Cast, so I'm using the tip. It's actually a firm edge because the further away the shadow, the more light is bouncing in and softens these edges. But for all intents and purposes for this drawing, we need to exaggerate things so that the viewer can read the language we're trying to convey. So that's why when people aren't great drawers, things get very ambiguous and they try to hide what they don't know in ambiguity. And to those of us who are trained, we see that stands out a lot. So now I'm just going to tone this whole thing or add a value. In painting, same thing. And really for me, I am practicing drawing to be a better painter. Fortunately, we don't have to learn how to mix color and it's fast. But Keith has challenged me and Shane Wolf have challenged me too. 2 different challenges. That on Wednesday night, I'm going to draw for the first third and paint for the last 2/3. And Shane challenged me to only use the Zorn palette. I'm not sure if he's just being mean. But the Zorn palette, 4 colors. And it's good to simplify things for sure. I'm just going to use a little bit of a bridge here to protect the drawing as I tone this because I'm starting to get smudgy here. I got sweaty hands and loose material because I haven't rubbed it in yet either. Thank you, Jeff. My musings, I'm trying my best. I got so much stuff I want to talk about actually that I totally forgot. So this weekend, we're having the final day of the art sale. This lovely lady who was an artist in our community in May recently passed away. And her family got a hold of me. They're all scientists, geophysicists and stuff. And they aren't artists, and they didn't know what to do. So I donated to them my space for them to sell May's art materials. Now, I went up to look at them, because originally it was kind of like, hey, do you want to buy all this stuff? Everything was still brand new in the package. Everything, it's acrylic too, which I'm not really that much of an acrylic painter. I do commissions in acrylic, but not my own work. But needless to say, 81 brand new canvases with the price tag still in the wrapper. We started the sale last week. You know, the issue being is that not everyone wants to come out or is in Calgary, obviously. There is some stuff left. Everything that's brand new and sticker priced is 30% off. There is a lot of great stuff. I wish I had money, but I got to make sure to keep this place open. So I can't even buy some of this stuff, but you could still come down here on Saturday between 11 and 5. We've got 6-foot stickers apart on the floor, so you can keep up your social distancing. But we did get all our stuff for sale here. There were easels, like $1,000 easels. That, you know, anything that was used was 50% off. But if it didn't have a price on it, you could haggle. And that's my recommendation. I will probably be left with a lot of interesting things. This lady painted abstract, and so there are tons of mediums and stuff for acrylic, golden mediums and stuff, you know, to get that thick texture that you want. So if that's something that interests you, come down during Culture Days and bring a bag or something. It's preferred that you pay cash because I'm personally not accepting any money. I don't like to handle money anyhow. I'd rather they're handling their sales. You could talk to the family. They're very nice people. And get yourself some deals this Saturday. I will also be doing, it's kind of a little bit of a secret. I haven't advertised it yet, but I'm going to be doing a canvas demo for one of our models' kit. And she's going to bring stuff down. I'll put the camera on and I'll live stream it. I'm not sure how loud the room will be or how chaotic. Also on that day, this is all Saturday, guys. Also that day is it's Alberta Culture Days. So we do have the sale. I thought it'd be nice for them to piggyback that. But we also have the Open Spaces project. So there'll be a live stream feed. I think it goes 1 till 4. But you can go onto this thing through Kiko Chat or Zoom or whatever. I don't know how they're advertising, but the information's out there. It's probably on C-Space's website. And you can go on, and different artists and stuff are doing activities. So you can do them remotely. But it's kind of like you go through C-Space as if it's a virtual space. And it's kind of like a Burning Man almost. Like it's almost like Choose Your Own Adventure, where you can go into the fabric space and, you know, do whatever they're showing or demoing or doing there. I'm at the very bottom. I'm just a live feed from my space because I don't know how many people will be in here for the store. And I'll probably not be aimed towards the store. I'll let people do their shopping in peace. But the other part of the studio, where I'll be doing demos and stuff throughout the day, we'll be live on that. Yeah, and this live stream for a little bit. Also want to remind you guys, sign up for the courses, please. I'm at the point right now where I'm starting to get worried I'm going to have to cancel a bunch. And I understand people might not want to go out these days, whereas other stuff sold out immediately. So it's just one of those things, I guess. Okay, what else can we do here now? So this is meant to be a halftone. As long as this is brighter than the reflected light, we'll have a good relationship. Okay, this is gonna use some darkening in some places, and that will make other parts look brighter. I hope the camera picks that up. I'm not sure that it does. It's getting darker in this studio. So I can add some definition. But really, if you wanted, your shadows can just be one value, dark. You don't really have to even put in the reflected light at this stage. It's something that you can chase after later on. Although it does add a lot of cool effects and form on the opposite side of the light, for sure. In motion pictures, we used to add a light over there called a kicker light, or 3/4 crosslit from the back, if you want the terminology there. It's not realistic sometimes, but that's where artists and contemporary looking stuff will put a flash of color in. So if you have a warm light and a cool shadow, maybe you add one more color like green or fluorescent pink in where the reflected light is. But not as bright as your key light. It can't be as bright or you'll kind of battle them out and it might flatten the surface. Because even movies are trying to get the illusion of depth on a two-dimensional surface. This is not that much different from what we're doing. Scorsese, who makes great films, he looks to, you know, Michelangelo and stuff, the artists, for his inspiration. So filmmakers are looking to artists. So halftone there. And in order to increase that separation, I'll just darken my core. Okay, let's do another story. Since you're loving the musings Tomorrow, the secret project in here that you can only see if you come in person because I'm not allowed to post any pictures. Blackfoot elders are coming in, ones who have told stories and whatnot on the secret project. I'm going to smudge the place. I'm very excited that they get to see the work Douglas and I have been doing so far on the secret project. I'm just calling it that. It's not really a secret, but because I don't own the copyright on this commission, I can't actually share pictures. The Minister of Arts and Culture was here, and they took great photos, and there is a chance that some photos might be leaked. We'll see with the minister on them. She was fantastic, and she really liked my work, and got to do a little bit of a photo shoot with her. It's nice to know there is a Minister of Arts and Culture caring about us. Usually they would come on Culture Days, but this year it's Culture Month. Can only get so many visits in if you're a minister, I think. And she is a singer of great skill. We got to hear her perform as part of the Wavelength project. Man, September's always like so much cool stuff. I am also going to go and teach at Speckled Frog Day Home for Kids. Teach them about artists and what artists do. A friend of mine owns it. And I think that, I think back to like, well, what inspired me to be and do as I am today? So I want to be a good influence on these little guys. And we're going to do some drawing together, and I'm going to show them some of the sculptures and stuff. The person who invited me is also a student here on Mondays. So, little back scratch on each other. Speaking of back scratch, my back is killing me right now. I don't know for how much longer I can sit like this. It's been taking me a long time to heal this wound. I fell on some stairs during a renovation. I slid down the stairs like a Macaulay Culkin comedy or something. Like, it was pretty brutal. I couldn't get out of bed for a few days. And now that I'm this old, don't heal as quickly as I used to. So I'm adding a little bit of definition here and there. I think what I need to do, time-wise, is move over to this side a little bit. There is a little bit of a striation between the fibers here. The muscles on a deltoid are unipennant muscles, so you can pull a back and forth kind of thing in this direction. They weave, not as much as the serratus, but there's something there that we can put in our halftone. Now that it's getting a little bit, maybe it's a écorché, so I'll just put a little bit more muscle fiber in there. Why not? Why not? Okay? Really, focus on the areas that interest you. What's cool about it? What do you like to look at? What do you want to study? What do you want to draw? Because there's not enough time to do the full render here. We do need some chest here. So some of this, like there, is a core shadow. But the rest of it, scooping up and over, is just halftone. The lightest or the darkest light. Okay. Get it over there. Get some more like this. I'll just smudge a little bit. There's this thing, Ghost Stories, coming up at Roberto Osterberg Gallery. I think it starts this weekend. And there are like 50 artists from Calgary involved in this. I know about it because of my friend John F. Ross. He is a big part of it. He organizes it in some way. And I was lame enough to say, I don't believe in ghosts, and so I am not doing anything. Because I never thought I had anything to offer a ghost story. But then I realized I could do a non-ghost story of how I don't think these ghost stories are real. We get a lot of ghost stories here at C-Space. And right now I get to do the fogging, which is kind of like being a Ghostbuster, shooting ectoplasm into the air or whatever they do to trap them. It's like I have a shoulder strap thing, and it sounds like a vacuum. It's very noisy, but it bleaches the space and keeps everything sterilized. But there's all this talk always here about these ghosts. They even had ghost hunters come here. And it's pretty funny because I brought some of the ghost hunters up into the attic. 2 different sets of them said the same thing to me about where the ghosts were. And they were very close to my studio. And a lot of people also tell stories about experiences they have, obviously, in this space. But I have debunked a few of them. It's an old building. There's some creepy sounds. There's definitely some uneven floors that make things roll. But these ghost hunters did both say that the ghosts were over here in the same place. I don't know. Maybe they just do some research. My mom had told me some of her ghost stories. And growing up, I loved horror films. The best. When Brenda Lieberman and I started Calgary Underground Film Festival, we wanted actually a horror festival. So you'll notice that there's a lot of horror type films on the first Friday night. Horror films, or we do the late ones as well. We didn't think at the time that a horror festival could survive in a city this small, but there's a horror festival now, I'm pretty sure. I don't go to movie festivals so much anymore. Nor do I have Netflix, so you guys can tell me how pervy that movie is for watching it. Mignons or whatever. En français. They took the name Cuties off of it. Not impressed, Netflix. But also you gotta save money where you can if you're an artist. And Netflix is the first place I would save money. Forget it. If you have a library card, you can get Canopy for free. Also, where do you have all this time to watch stuff, I wonder? 5 minutes. I'm talking pretty good here. I got to do the Rebel podcast. So now and from 3 hours like this every week, I'm getting pretty practice here. What I should be practicing is drawing. Next week, no talking, just watching. Look at that complicated neck. Let's not overdo things. I will do kind of like a dotted line here, or slightly darker along the edge to help give me some distance and depth. If this is catching the light, this is losing the light, or what we call the fall of light starts to happen there. Okay. Do a little bit of more striations in the muscle fibers here of the pec. And I probably should darken this. It's undercut, so it should be as dark as over here. So we're moving down. We're making okay time. I'm willing to bet we're not going to get all the way down to the bottom, because I can only go, well, a little bit after 9. I have a lot I need to do after this tonight, and more importantly, my back is killing me, and I should probably put some Lakota on it. Stuff works really well, and I keep it in the studio in case the models get sore, because we don't want them stopping their posing. Tiger Balm as well. So there is an interesting area that I didn't do. Sorry, just a few more striations, and that is under this pec muscle. Under the muscle, there's a nice area for a cast shadow. Maybe I'll move it over a little bit, because I already have some lines here for the muscles, the serratus. So we'll follow that. It goes straight across. So if it's straight, make it straighter. If it's curved, exaggerate the curve a little bit. It helps describe it. So this is a cast and core. My pencil's starting to get a little too dull now. Core shadow follows up the breast there. There are no nipples on this model. Can you guys hear the ghost sound outside the room right now? That's a very strange sound. What is it? Normally I would have music in here, so I wouldn't hear fun things all the time. Oh, it's probably just chairs. Are these musings still getting you, Jeff? So pulling from the dark towards the light across the contours of the form. I've changed my position a little bit. I realized I wasn't able to see a few parts here before, but as I'm slowly slouching nevermore, it's changed my view a little bit. Just one of the challenges of drawing from life. As you go on, you get tired, the model slumps. You've got to pick your battles wisely. When the model's hand looks the way you want it, that's when you draw it. Okay. There we go. Looks like a cast shadow under there. Should be longer. Whoopsies. Oh my god. Okay, it's downhill slide. Downhill slide, guys. So I'm going to take a little break, even though I don't want to, because it's healthy. An artist got to know when to stop and know when to go fresh, because if you overwork it, you will destroy it. Also give me a chance to sharpen this dull pencil. And if we follow the great wisdom of Mr. Keith Springall, breaks are also for backgrounds, so I can erase the background as well. But I'm going to just stretch my back out on the floor first. Hey. Clear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's take a little break, guys. Then we'll come back. 10 seconds. Oh, I forgot to sharpen my pencil. Wait, I've got another one, probably. Whew. Okay, so I know that being overhead and looking down sucks. It's the only way. Like, I can touch my head to the camera. See? It's not the view I see. This is preferable. I actually can't even get the whole drawing in here. But this is what we're really dealing with. So you can see I've got some nice halftones here. I kind of do the areas that I'm more interested in conveying beauty. There's nothing happening here yet. But I think you can see some of the things I'm talking about with the core, the halftone, and just doing different things, hard edge, soft edge, curve edge, straight, light, and dark is what ultimately makes your drawing interesting. I'm going to finish some area up here in the pec, I think, and then work my way down. Now, it's not even 8 o'clock. There's still an hour, which means 2 25-minute sessions. And after, I will flip the camera, and we will look at beside the model and maybe compare some of the finer points and look at the drawing. If you haven't seen my wall of art, I have put outside my studio. C-Space is open to the public, and there's very wide hallways here, so if you have time, you can walk in. I helped put together a show of all the tenants, but right outside my studio, because I put the show on, I stole my wall, but I've hung up a bunch of my old figure drawings together, and it's pretty impressive to see a bunch of them together. It's not even half my collection, but you can look at the dates and see how I've improved, or you can be a jerk like Keith and Melissa and say, which one's your least favorite? Anyhow, you gotta have a thick skin to be an artist, because people are way more apt to tell you what they don't like than what they do like. And I can tell you, I don't like lots of things about all of them too, but it's really neat to see them all together and see which models you know. And it's funny to see how I would draw one model before, and as I got to know them more and more, I got better at them, at their faces and stuff. I always try to get their look right, but there's just a few models, like, for the life of me, I just can't draw their face. I think if I did a portrait sitting with them, I would have it down, but you draw the face like this big, so you can't make so many mistakes to get it right, and some angles are just so hard. So I always try to respect the models and get it to look like them, but sometimes not close. It's really funny because when we started this beer bug thing, the only model that I had any photos of was Ryan, and you can look, the most yellow pieces on there are of Ryan, but they're also the newer drawings. You would have seen them in this live stream, but they're yellowed because I had left them in the studio during summer, hung up on the wall, and the sun breaks down the newsprint. So they look like they're the oldest drawings, but skill-wise, they're the better of the drawings. And you can see how I definitely have improved. Mind you, they were drawn from photo and not from life, which is a lot easier, for sure. So I'm going to use a little bit of a bridge so that I don't smudge so much. A lot of times in these sessions, I don't worry about that kind of stuff. I'm not making these drawings to produce something for sale or just to practice. I don't understand why that amazes some people, that these drawings are essentially just wallpaper, and that's what I call them. Sometimes I'll wrap presents in them. So we're curving along there. Not all of everything you do has to be the masterpiece. Not, in fact, I'm still not even close to making that masterpiece, I don't think. But got to get the skill up. That's also why we'll go back to Keith to see if he's listening here after I slammed him for telling me what was going on my birthday. Thank you for coming. That was a lot of fun, all those who showed up. I mixed drinks for people, just for fun, really. Nobody got too hammered. We were able to go home. But it's fun to shake the shaker. Like, lots of people didn't even get birthdays this year, so I definitely feel lucky that anyone would come celebrate with me. Maybe it was just the free drinks. I don't know. That's one way of getting friends, right? Funny. Okay, so some striations. Gingerly, tenderly. Just getting some value on here, because the things that will be pure white are only things that are perpendicular to the light. Even this isn't perpendicular to the light. There is a little bit right here. So we want to be sure that we kind of show that we know that. Didn't come out exactly how I would have wanted, but whatevs. There we go. Show that we know that. Show that we know that. You're really only as good as your last drawing. In animation, they say you're only as good as your weakest frame, which would be your drawing. That's why we got to just keep on this, man. I think, you know, it's easy to rest on your laurels and be like, I made that one good thing years ago, and that's going to keep me going for the rest of my life. But the challenge is fun, and then to learn from it. Every drawing I do, I learn things from. I'll look at them and be like, oh my god, I will never do that again. There's a small peak of light right here, which we're going to emphasize with a hard edge. This might be a little too light there too. So we want to have some of the chest striations. It's not a flat thing. Makes it a little more interesting. Got to be careful though, so those are a little far apart in terms of their values. I'm just going to rub them down a little bit more, and possibly instead just pull out a couple light areas and then rub my hand over it again. So these areas would be lighter because they're turning towards the light. But it's hard sometimes to get the halftone subtle enough, especially if the light in the room like I have is it's dimming. As the night goes on, the lights get less bright at C-Space. They match the outside sometimes, and then I forget to turn them back on. I like it darker when I'm drawing because it helps me see the compression of dark values. We tend to have to make our darks darker. We can't make the paper lighter, so we've got to find somewhere where we can do it. I do see this as a lost edge right there, so I'll just remove a little bit. Loving the lost edges. There is a little bit of reflected light in here, so go darker on top, and that will allow there to be a light beside it. I'm using dark to create the light. I think Bob Ross said something about that. Just like in life, you need a little bit of dark to show the light. I have yet, a few people have sent me their pictures, but I would love for those who aren't just listening to my ramblings or doing their own drawings, because they're more advanced and they don't need to follow along, but I would love to see how your drawings of a similar thing are coming. It wouldn't be a bad idea after the practice to watch the lesson again. I mean, they're not really lessons, but maybe something else will be picked out because the angle's not great. Even seeing this, cross handling. Sometimes when I work, I will also use my left hand. I'm not ambidextrous, but when I'm painting and stuff, I'm pretty confident with doing either job. Sometimes this is my erasing hand as well. We'll darken the shadow. That will help lift this up here. Now I smudged earlier. I'm not smudging anymore. I'm allowing that paper to do what it does. Let's just see about smudging some of these. Flattens the value out nicely. It might trick your eye into thinking it's darker, in fact. because it's filling some more holes, but it's the same amount of material and it's just smoother. So we'll do some of that. So that's with the blending stump. The stump is the one that feels more fibrous. And the tortillon is the fun one to say. I'm sure it's not the right pronunciation, but it's the twisted up newsprint. We can ask Jeff, he speaks French. And I'm just testing to see if you're still watching, Jeff, or listening. So all of here needs value. It's not pure white. Even though this sculpture is white, there's not too many places that it's as light as the paper. Just think flat plane to the light. And understanding where that is. Underneath these striations, there's a little divot that catches the light. Probably wouldn't happen on a person, but definitely happens on our sculpture here. Because it's emphasized a little bit more than it would be. The skin is not quite as shiny, believe it or not, as this plaster. This plaster is burnished from being handled and also a little bit dirty from my hands. It happens. The eraser is also a drawing tool. So, with 15 minutes left, maybe I'll get some structure here. I'll probably leave this for now, just this flat. Maybe I'll smooth it out a little bit, and then we can add some things on top. Because I haven't really drawn it, but also it's smoky looking and less important to the viewer. Where you spend your time is where they'll look, and also presumably what interests you the most. So we'll remember that in future so that we can control our compositions. Control where the people look. It's one of the things when I was studying over in Holland, I went there to study the Dutch masters. They were so loose, especially Rembrandt, surprisingly loose. But where they put their attention was where you would look. And so if you put lots of work into the eyes, it didn't matter how loose the rest of it was. That's very similar to how you see. The ears are not in focus when you're looking in someone's eyes, you know? Uh-oh. So I'm picking up some texture from somewhere. We don't want that. But we can be painterly here. Oh, Greg just popped in his cat in a box head here. He's always skulking around. That's my neighbor. Gave me a bunch of apples, and we're making some cider right now. Should probably check on that tonight. I don't know how long it's going to take. I haven't made it in 2-3 years, I think. And I'm not following a recipe. I just measure the specific gravity. There is a lovely, here, let me see. I think I keep getting my head in here. I apologize, guys. My back is slouching in not a happy way. Okay, so I've got the oblique drawn there. I'm just gonna tilt. I need to sit up straight. So I tilt the drawing, you're gonna get a better view, but it's gonna take a lot out of me. I will tire more quickly. And for me, the view is very skewed. Does not work very well. But there's a shadow here. Kind of a triangle shadow. In fact, it should happen a little bit lower. So, just going to erase this out. I know it happens around the belly button. A little bit lower actually, but it connects to here. halftone here. Man, I've never seen anyone with obliques this big. In the muscle section, and it'll be in the winter this year of our figure drawing sessions, we work a lot from pictures in the beginning of bodybuilders because they have that extreme muscles, but none of them have obliques this big. It's insane. Why is that important? So you can also see in this sculpture, but not as much in my drawing, the fascia in between each muscle here. Now it's actually just one muscle, but it's kind of got this ribbing throughout it, and it's sculpted physically here. I'm not sure if you can see that on yours. This is the Erectus Abdominus, which is what I would name my first child if I was in Roman times. If you like Monty Python, you'll get what I'm referring to. Yeah, no one has muscles quite this awesome. But it's an écorché, really. So this area ends up being quite a bit more toned. But in the light, not as dark as the dark. So we can enhance our dark to show that we know the difference between what is light and what is dark. Separate those two things. That's all we got here. But in no way would this be as bright as anything up here because the light isn't falling that far down. These areas up here are quite, can't leave them out. I'm just darkening a little bit as I go across, just to help give a unification of what is happening here. Let's darken all the shadow bits at least. I might leave it smoky. It's all going to be time. Drawing is a lot time management. And though I would love to keep going, I don't have this many hours in my life for these types of things. I think sometimes too, when I give myself more time, I draw the exact same amount, but slower. So I don't know if you're the same way. The angle, yes, the law of diminishing returns, I believe is what that one is. So I work for 10 more hours and I only get this much more done. Sometimes it's nice too to leave things rough and let people know, you know what, a human drew this. Let's celebrate that fact. There's a cast shadow here, the core shadow here, and within it reflected light. So I'm going to add value there, but make it lighter than the core. Just by adding more dark. This is all dark here. But that's not a core, it's just a midtone. This is the core here. And then the cast, which is a hard edge. Core, cast. Maybe, if you want to see how hard this is to draw, why don't you say those things in your head as you do them? What's the cast? What's the core? Maybe it will help you become better at understanding what's going on in your drawing. It doesn't have to be this one, but if you're practicing your spheres, you know, your basics, start naming them in your head as you go. So we still got 7 minutes here. Lovely. Lovely. There is still a little bit of time after this. We'll put in a little bit more. We got to use our time, but all the way to the end, I think. That's what I'm here for. Not to experience this back pain right now, but I'll live through it. So it happens. I thought at 42 I would have some other answers. The mysteries of the universe would come. But instead, it just takes a lot longer to heal from injuries. So my touch is much lighter to put some material in the darkest lights. I kind of like how that's looking. I don't know if I want to get rid of it so fast. The other thing that you can do when you're drawing these types of things is have your anatomy reference books out. I recommend a few books. In my classes, I have a list that I give out. I would go about it slowly. Just pick one thing at a time that you want to focus on. So there's no right one. You have to understand, because it's what you're learning, you know? I would not start with Bridgman, though, unless you want to confuse yourself for the rest of your life. Got to learn his notation. You know, Grey's Anatomy, that's a TV show. But that book is also quite good, but it has a lot more biology than you need. The one we used at AU Arts was the Artistic Anatomy, and it has the foreword by the late, great Beverly Hale. I have a man crush on him. He's the one who has the cranial mass lessons, which I would recommend taking eventually. We teach it in my proportions classes. It's a good guide. If you're focusing on muscles, you might have to go elsewhere. Now there's these dots here, and I am not certain what. I can feel them through the paper. What's going on here? Where are these dots coming from? It feels like someone on this other pad of paper made some dents, and that's what's picking up here. So we'll just see if I can add more dark and hide it a little bit, because I don't want it to look like this guy's got moles or something on his body. Let's see if we can get it out. Often when it's an issue like that, it's so deeply ingrained, like I call them ditches. I grew up in Richmond for a while, so I think about the ditches. Might be a little bit hard. If you're working on a better paper like Arches or Stonehenge or BFK Reeves, it would be very easy for you to fix that. They can take a lot more of a beating. I mean, I've hit it. And that's all I really need to do for this. There's 4 more minutes in this session, so I'm going to emphasize the thoracic arch here and darken it, because it is an undercut plane from the studio lights. So this is adding a secondary light source for sure, but I have it, and it helps define some things more readily. When I squint my eyes, I can still see it a little bit, so that often signifies where I can do a separation between the two, for me at least. You might not see it. Where'd that triangle go? That triangle should actually be way up here. So we're gonna move it. Where's that eraser? Move it a little bit. That's just bad anatomy on my part. I will punish myself later with a tequila sunrise or some other such relaxing bedtime aperitif. It's looking all right. You can hear the I left my favorite eraser still in my car. But I'm gonna just darken some areas as I go till we run out of time, rather than worrying about erasing at this point. There are other ways you can get there. Erasing is one of them. But so is making your values darker. Pushing the darks back. This is looking okay. This sculpture, honestly, it's kind of hard to draw bad. It just looks cool no matter what way you draw it, like no matter what angle. I think I probably have a drawing I did of this from a long time ago on social media. Maybe we'll find it and compare it. I mean, I bought it to draw it. If I end up having to cancel classes, there might be daytimes when I do more of practice drawing and painting. I gotta get my hours in too. Monday's gonna be crazy because I'll be here at 8:30 and I won't leave till 10 at night. So basically, jumping in the deep end again. Last semester that we were open, I was here 15 hours a day. And there's a saying in that book, Mastery, that the master is the first to arrive and the last to leave. That's also the slave of the business. Because if you're not doing work during that time, it also just sucks. But you got to think that way about your practice too. How are you ensuring that you're getting it in? I've missed quite a few of these Wednesdays. I was laid up on my back for a while. And for me, just saying I'm going to always do these Wednesdays, that's enough for me to keep this up. So we're getting to here now. I'm going to take a little break. And we'll see how much time we have to complete some more parts of this drawing. But take 5, it's good for you. I'm going to do some yoga rolling on the ground. Maybe if I'm smart, I'll sharpen a pencil. Or actually at the next point is when I like to switch over to my wolf's carbon. A little bit more pointy, a little bit waxier. I don't think I have any prepared right now. Got a little baby one. Taking it with me, going to the can, because last time I went, I opened the door and the girl didn't lock it, and I almost saw something, but actually she just said sorry, and then I ran out. I saw feet. I knew it was a girl by her shoes. Okay. Oh, my poor sculpture. 3 minutes and a half. Wash these hands. That's amore. Okay. Monkey. Jeff, what are you telling me? 2 minutes, guys. I'm washing and wiping my hands so I don't drag it all over the drawing. I suppose I could wear gloves. I have a lot of cleaning to do in this studio before the elders come. I had to get permission and do a whole bunch of things so they can turn off the fire alarms so that we can smudge for our Blackfoot elders. But the truth is, I light incense in here all the time too, and it doesn't set the fire alarms off. But we're doing things legit these days. Plus, I think it's a lot more smoke, especially if you pass it around 10 elders. But I would hate to have been the reason all the artwork got soaking wet because the fire alarms went off. All because I was spiritually trying to do the right things for our cousins, our brothers, our sisters, and our mothers, and our friends, and whoever else, the youngins and the oldins. Let's see, Bunny, where is your wolf's carbon? Wolf's carbon, wolf's carbon. I do not have any wolf's carbon out currently. It's probably in the other bag. 17 seconds. Let's see if we got any here. Oh. Uh-huh. Well, this might be sufficient. It's a 2B. It's a little hard. That's probably why it's in here. And it's not properly sharpened for what we want. Okay. It is 8:25, which means I can go for 20 more minutes. 22 more minutes. Because I do want to turn up the drawing and take a little bit of time. Maybe we won't make it the full 22, but we'll do our best. And I'll tilt up again. I did pop my back out pretty good, so I'm actually feeling a little bit better. Sometimes you just gotta lay on a floor and grunt, which is like medieval torture, which is what yoga is for me. Doing a little cross-hatching tricks. If you want to learn cross-hatching and shading of the form from one of the best artists I know, he will be teaching here. Jeff's class so far starts on Wednesday. We'll see. It might be postponed a week. Sorry, Jeff, that you're finding it out this way. I'm signed up for your class, so you got to put up with all my hard-ass questions. What are you thinking? What are you doing now? Why did you do it that way? Oh my God. Run, people. Anyways, this is very waxy and it's not putting as much dark line down as I want, which is actually quite nice for getting in your halftone. If you had more time, you could change up your materials. But for now, we'll just lovingly stroke this thing. And I just kind of dance all the way around. It's good to keep some sort of focus. But I like how this is looking. So now I get to enjoy the process of drawing a little bit more. Maybe you can hear the more time would only mean more of that. So I'm adding a little bit of muscle definition. Actually, I can turn this into a core since it's kind of like a cylindrical form. Honestly, this kind of stuff is like probably the least interesting stuff to watch on the video, the last bits. Because all the decisions I made earlier are what make this good or not. That's why I also said in the beginning, like, let's not worry so much about proportion, because it's just a bunch of shapes together, fitted on bigger shapes. But let's get to it. Let's get the process down. I hope my talking has been at least somewhat entertaining and useful, because from now on, no more talking. We'll see. It'd be funny if everyone in the room is like, can you talk? But they won't be able to watch what they're doing. And also it's going to turn into painting the second half with the Zorn palette. I have no idea how that's going to go, or if it's even possible. I can tell you it might be worth tuning in because of how bad it's going to be, the first one. There's a good chance I will erase it from YouTube. I erased some in the past because I was embarrassed. Not everything's going to be good every time, right? Uh-oh. Sorry, I got to check the messages. They're coming through like hotcakes right now. Shot's great. Talking's great. Oh, and some jokes. Okay. Whew. So worried I was blocking it with my head too much. It's nice to get a little feedback here. I can see, yeah, I can see sometimes how many people are watching. I tend not to look at the screen too much. It's a lot easier today because I'm not actually looking at a screen. When I was going from photo, oh, I found a spot here. There's a little white triangle that needs to be brighter. So let's do that. Let's make that a little bit brighter. That's nice. It's nice when you find things. As you go on the micro level, you start to see more. That's when the judgments get harsher too, though. I'm gonna make this half of the belly button as black as I can get it. And then fade to a little lighter. There are two values in there. And the only reason being is because the overhead lighting in here, which is bluish in nature, is lightening up one of those planes a little bit. We are gonna, I guess we got time to put a little bit of more definition in this side. I like to leave some things though for the imagination to fill in, but I'm gonna add some of this. I wish I had a Body Worlds exhibit in my room as well. That would be cool. I was going to apply for university so I could go in and draw some cadavers this semester, but I don't think that's going to be possible. Does that mean there's going to be no doctors this year being made, or are they just all book learned? Anyhow, they used to at UC let artists in there after they're done with them, so to speak. I don't know if anyone else would want to get on that train. So instead of that, I signed up at Cornell for a certificate in ornithology, which is actually the study of bird biology. The secret project has lots of bird things going on, and this summer went to do some bird watching and enjoy it thoroughly. And then they had a sale on the course. I think it was half off. The textbook was almost $200 though. And when I opened it, I was shocked. Shocked! Hardly any pictures. How will I live? So that's done through correspondence. Lots of videos and a textbook. So maybe I'll start skipping out on the people and drawing some more birds. Who knows? Got to keep your brain going while you have it. Okay. As it turns, these are less light. They're light, but they're less light. So it's when the finger comes in, the dirty finger. And also, even though I've been talking this whole time, this is very calming and meditative for me. This is why I decided, even after having the day that I've had that sometimes the best thing for you is just to do this. But you know what? When I did martial arts, it was like I never wanted to go. For at least like 14 years, I never wanted to go. But I did show up, and I always felt better when I left after having my ass handed to me and beat up. I always felt better after than when I began. It was just getting out the door. I guess like any physical exercise. I've been doing daily yoga with Sarabella, and I hate yoga. But the benefits for my back and stuff have been worth every second of it. Plus her yoga, there's meditation breaks and stuff. It's tantric yoga, so it's not like... And you're not in a room full of sweaty people. She does it out of her house. You can do it remotely from yours, which means that you can grunt and moan and cry and use yoga blocks and no one will make fun of you. Unless you leave the sound on, I guess. So if you're still with me, thank you. I hope you're here to watch the end. I'm not going to rip myself too much of a hole today. I think I'll be a little bit kinder on myself. We artists are just the worst. This one's up here. Okay. This one could be, it could go a little bit darker. That striation is verging between shadow, just a little bit, core shadow, just rolling over, and same as here, and your core. You gotta squint your eyes, I think, if you're not used to looking for these things. And I squint my eyes at different rates all the time. Sometimes I'll squint and look for white lights, and sometimes I'll squint and try to compress my darks together. And I feel like because of what maybe I'm squinting exactly the same. I don't think so. But I feel like because I'm looking for something else, it's a different behavior. I could be wrong. I don't know. Just you observe things a little bit different when you're looking for a light than when you're looking for a shadow. Let's soften some of this up. Soften some of these muscles. 10 minutes. At this point, start to calm down rather than get too excited. Sometimes this is where you rip everything up, try to race to the finish line. What can you realistically do? You know your limitations after doing this a while. What's possible? What's improbable? What's a good cheat that you've learned over the years? Some people have like their stylistic thing they do at the end. Me, I just try to find what I can live with, and then I'm still noticing things like, oh yeah, this could be softened, turning more softly to be a contrast to this nice hard bit. Maybe I'll just darken this a little bit. Just picking out, dancing around. I mean, I made this neck up here pretty dark. It's probably because I had time to smudge it. My advice to you is pulling the smudge, like rub it in first, and then pull it the direction of the form. Like that way, like a cross contour. But don't get that mixed up with what is a striation in a muscle. So all of this could be way darker. Made up of cast shadow and core. Soften it down a little bit and then pull it. It's kind of how we do the bark drawings too. Pulling the excess material that you put in, if there is any excess. You also don't want to put too much on. Pull it up. It's a way to gently round it. Flatten it out a little bit. Overall form of the whole leg, you know, simplifying areas. Because I don't want to run out of time. What about this area? Whoa, this could be darker. Let's put a little more material. And that is the conte I'm using. Maybe, just maybe pull out the light a little bit more. And I gotta hide the wrong triangle. Let me just do it like that. Gone. Disappeared. I'm sure there's other stuff I should be talking about. Liking, subscribing, all that YouTube crap. We're up to like 105, I think. The other channel is 205, the Mr. Brian Batista one, which has taken a seat on the back burner. However, with the new series of painting I'm working with, or on, I will be broadcasting to that channel with that stuff. This is more like what goes on in the studio, right? I am not the only one who teaches at the studio, so it is not only my channel. I would love to see other people, you're watching this right now, I know, do some of these. It would be so cool. Right, Jeff? Right, Keith? I'm not trying to get myself off the hook, because I need motivation to keep practicing too. I was tough there for a little bit to even get anything done. And maybe in this time too, we've birthed some new artists. If you're on my Instagram, you can also see my commissioned portrait came in today from Emma, who is studying at the Florence Academy. Another Calgarian who's gone to Florence. Seems to be a thing. I tried to model this atelier after that style, but just not enough people who want to do full-time studies. Probably because most of us adults gotta get the jobs to pay for the stuff. But young people who are going to school, and you can't get student loans for them, but Florence Academy is accredited. That's what I hear. So I believe you can get probably student loans for that one. If I'm not mistaken, that the one she's going to in Sweden is the one that Stephen Bauman is at. Wait, is that who? Yeah. Oh, sorry if my head's in there. We've got 5 more minutes here. So much time. What else should I do? Should I clean this up? Maybe. Lots of cleaning. The eraser is your friend. Sometimes too, you know, you can make your drawing, you can put tracing paper and do adjustments. If you're looking for something more professional, there might be more steps in between. You know, keeping this paper clean, I could now do a transfer drawing of this, or I've practiced it once. You know, if you're looking to, definitely use more expensive paper. Practice paper, newsprint, cartridge, manila, go cheap. Go cheap when you're practicing. But if you're trying to sell them, please make sure they're archival. I suppose I could sell these. I usually do my Movember fundraiser. I'm not sure what will happen this year if I'm going to do that. They're all outside. If you want to come down to C-Space, have a look at the work in person. If my door is open, my door is always open to you. You're welcome to pop your head in. One of the individuals I'm working with is immunity compromised, so I have been keeping the door closed a lot of times. So make an appointment ahead of time. I do fog the room, so super good and clean in here, supposedly, unless that's just like aromatherapy and it's just BS. I don't know. I'd like to think it's not that scientific, but the science shows that it works. But a lot of the science shows that stuff works and then they tell you it doesn't. So keeps me employed a little bit. Four minutes. Just gonna brush this off and have a nice look here. I mean, this is a little bright, right? When your eye goes right to a place, just do this little trick. Just give it a little rub. I'm fairly clean at this point. Sometimes it's better to make things a little more subtle. That is definitely one of those times. I am going to rub it down a little bit more. It's there, but it's also kind of not there. And then you can erase and then rub on it again. Push, pull, like salsa dancing. Man, I wish I had my favorite eraser that you can't buy no more. You get the tools. Like, I still haven't even like committed to any tools, any style yet. I don't think. I know my work looks like I have a style, and that's just my inability to make it exactly how I want to see it. If that's what style, that must be what style is. It's like, well, that's what you can do. We all, I think, already have a style. We have the lighting we like. We have the artist we like, and we tend to have an aesthetic leaning as it is. I mean, I've got 2.5 more minutes, but I'm not feeling much more here. I can't back up because there's a camera right behind me and right where my head is. See? So it's hard for me to see a little bit. If this was really like a live cast, I'd be like, all right, everyone, text in. What should Bunny do next on this drawing? Should probably actually... I'm taking Kneadable Eraser here because it takes off less material. I made this a little, I squint my eyes and it's almost reading as a dark, and it's not. It's a half tone. So Kneadable Eraser is a good way of lightly lightening. Oh my lord. You know, as a kid, I couldn't speak very well and I had to go to speech pathology, and I was put in the special kids class for a little while there. And I was so embarrassed to speak. I had a lot of problems. I still have a lisp now. It's amazing I can talk for 3 hours every time. You know, it's actually kind of crazy. But yeah, I can still not say a lot of things. At least I don't say palos or oot or pumpkin. Those ones are unforgivable. As unforgivable as being allergic to nuts. Of course, I'm joking. You out there know who I'm talking to, because I constantly bug you about that. So just like kind of smashing it a little bit here. Let's just get a little more definition. I'm not 100% sure if the camera even picks that up. Kind of drawing lines with the eraser a little bit as well, giving a slight direction. I guess I can lighten up a little bit. Have the form turn less quickly. "14 seconds. Oh my god. Okay, I should have been watching. I like drawing with this Kneadable Eraser. It gets pretty dirty though, so to clean it, you do a little bit of this. You'll be able to tell. When I work with charcoal, this is why I learned to do small pieces, is because they get marred up so quick. So, let's put a little signature on this first. And then, I'm gonna move it up to beside the piece. What day is it? September 23rd, right? I don't put dates on my paintings at all. I actually try not to even sign them, but a lot of people request it. prefer to do all that on the back of the piece. The restorer can see that. I also don't think it's good to have a year on it until long after you're dead, because it's almost as if to say, oh, well, that's from 2014, you know, like it's not like wine. It's not treated like that until it's like 100 years old. So I'm gonna tilt the camera and we'll have a look-see-loo. More straight, oh my God. Up next to the piece. This may be jarring, I'm sorry. Okay, let me, it's on auto, so maybe I can drop the brightness here in a second. All right, now we'll move them back. No, wait, we'll move the back more forward, because I'm gonna lean the piece down here. It involves a little bit of work, guys. Just have a smoke break. Actually, it's not even going to matter if it's lower, because it's so much bigger. We're not really going to be able to compare. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, what's going on? Okay. Thanks for sticking with me, folks. I'm just going to go, put a shadow on it, huh? Is that what's going to happen? I don't think so. Is this view okay? Put this back up. Turn it up a little bit more. Oh, Lord. It's drunk and crooked. Okay. Hey. I don't hate that. Do I need to be a little closer? I'm on a 20-second delay, so I'm watching the screen to make sure that this lines up for y'all. Shall we rip her apart? I got a laser pointer. Well, there's our result. Hey, you can see the light, you can see the setup. Obviously, I have a different exposure. Right now the exposure on the camera is set so that you can see that. If I drop it down, this might look too dark, but quickly without room lights, I don't know if it will adjust accordingly. So that's more what we're after. It's still a little bright on the sculpture, but now we can't really see the drawing. So without the anatomy being perfect, it's still got nice turning of the form, especially roundness in some of these areas. I'm pretty happy with it for sitting in. It being a physical, three-dimensional object here. I'm all in the shadows, it's so funny. Let me come back in. Some of you might want to see that I'm a real person with my face. My hands are clean, the paper's got some Mars on it. Sometimes I'll go over them with white charcoal after I erase them and they don't come out, because you can patch these things. Whiteout will even work, and so will gouache. This paper is archival, so it will stay white. If you want to see it, it'll be down at the studio. Before all that, please come to the studio this Saturday for the art sale, 11 till 5. If you don't want to come down, you can check out the live stream. It'll be just after 11, and I will be doing canvas building. The store will be open, there'll be canvas building, and I think from 1 till 4 is the C-Space Open Space project, so you can go around each room and just kind of peek in or do activities remotely. You can come down, the hallways are huge, and I don't think there'll be a lot of people here for Alberta Culture Days. Please, if you haven't already, sign up for your course. If you don't, I won't know you want to come, and I may have to cancel a few. And also, you need to sign up ahead of time so that I know what the numbers are and how far to space out seats. I have limiting capacity. Each person is going to get like 10 square feet in here. If you're standing, you might have a little bit less room and be stuck to the back, but we are having Monday morning sold out, Luke's class is sold out. Tuesday evening is short pose with Luke, 7 to 10. I won't be here because I'm teaching animation, but I'll be hosting the Wednesday night, 7 to 10 p.m. long pose. We're going to have Marla Singer this week. Please get your spot, and if you go on the website, and you go to figure drawing and you click one of those dates, or you can click all of them if you want to make sure you have a spot, except for Keith and I, who are guaranteed spots because we've already signed up, essentially in my head. The computer counts down the number, so if you can't get in, I'm sorry, you can't get in. We'll see how it goes in the next few weeks. It might just be something I close down and we get back to this live stream. Oh my God, I'm so in the shadows. I gotta look at my shot more often. But regardless, I enjoy the fact that you come here at all. I appreciate it because little old me would be doing this anyways. But I'm glad that I'm not talking out loud to nobody. Please comment, share, like, subscribe, whatever it takes. Do hashtags. I'd love to see your drawings. Share them with me. For now, I'm going to sign off and say ciao. Night. This is my dark out.